ebusianfo sabre die oma oba oman Ghana mu adehye binum ensem a womo eka enisese obi wo bo kese a hwese one time ema Ghana adehye na wonum entimi emfama Honorable Kennedy Akompra ko Japan eno na divine ba mi Sophie mi bisa say aden na ebusianfo mi hwehwe mu kakra amaye amano aba besa abontin say ade hwese o course no kokokwa amanyuko womo mu a resignation ahodo na ekoso na sabre die opani kese MP kese a wono wetimi aba abontin ono ankasa na no disema wode aba abetu abontin ne say wa resign ne efri osunu kokoko amanyuko nim na MP ebusiafo wono na wosom adehia wonom ewo sege na afenso nidin ede unisali na maami etwem a ade atrese Greater Accra Regional Chairman niema bi a wode edi no free 2018 ede besi nani anje ho nanso 2018 no wode edi no trese wotimi esensen hono ma nanso se de akodum pempenso bi a wohunu se kamia ye se nsem bi wo hono ma osunu kokokwa manyuko no omo epese omo ekata so no motai ebinum echi eno nti se osunu kokokwa manyuko no enye wono madwen se sansemi a sorry 2018 bra regional chairman de ma osunu kokokwa manyuko no Greater Accra Regional Chairman Ora Divine edi no besinne womo enso anu a ene wono nso so nyade a obekoso ene osunu kokoko amanyuko no akọ na ebusiafo mo beka ya enche ye kra na twese osunu kokoko amanyuko no womo orphan election hyehyɛ so na ebusiafo orphan election no ni nyina hyehyɛ ahodo osunu kokoko amanyuko no mpanifo gu akwam na wonom kyerem sɛ constituencies ahodo a kyerɛsɛm omo eni sitting MP no ehonom na wonom to abase de ebeya wonom esu ebehunu de eda wonom eni ampanimfo ahodo a womo lusu election no 2020 nyame adom womo ensa enso etimi aka womo abe candidate 2024 abato no womo ebegina sɛ yento womo so aba ene Okoboy Dr. Okoboy ono so nyame adom leje kuku wotimi take back akonya no nti yebɔ mpai sɛ 2024 de ebesi bia no emu nsɛm ni nyina yɛde ni nyina ede beba beso na abusiafo enche yekra na biom Ora Justin Kodua a kyerɛsɛ wono secretary edima osunu kokoko amanyuko wono nso de beto abonti sɛ kyerɛsɛ mpanimfo bi wɔ osunu kokoko amanyuko ma kamia yɛsɛ womo ne ye bi kyerɛsɛ womo free amanyuko nanso womo mpɛsɛ womo bɛka the likes of yankasa gift yosɛ nikunu wo na afen so mpanimfo bi nim eno nti ya suspend womo eno nam so ama mpanimfo mienu ebusiafo womo ekodon afafranto ekol na sa abredie resignation kwa na ekoso sunu kokoko amanyuko eno nti yenko na yenko tie Honorable Eunice Lassie ono ankasa na no mu disema odi tu dwade enti a wa resign e de afri osunu kokoko amanyuko yemas
have had your master to be na ewo me letter nim
for the benefit of obi a wonya letter no nkenkan bi ntina ye bisa no
oh okay oh no ma be na course of 2018 let's the last primary call na me sha party ni mi ndi ni ye assign party yo de kuo ene de nipa na it's a numbers game na your party mu na nipa ba ku titi oti na nisi obi so na omuntu mi nka ebi an ebetimi eti no so say nima bebre akoso ema mama who complain manya who say until the way forward no the primaries last Saturday na the buy and it's a regional chairman the police station executive beto amame no e be ni di fi album no threat no nyama but it's 2000 1005 650 700 oh but to show any money ya maun ya ope to stand say candidate na omo candidate no win here no omo aspirant candidate no win here no but na radio so eda na say that's no who say but other na to na ho ndin ni sika abetnya na chairman by parliamentary candidate
honorable bibisa kakra say recent orphan constituency election here na say
me patron
dia na no me de ya moto ye no
me patron
ana dia wo ke course
me patron
say obi ase that to nani ensi so say by rough tactics obey eliminate you every contest
and this is not his first time I shall accept the 2018 And I'm complaining. And I'm a oh, my casa, I won't. But still, no, I'm on your home shade. The politics so dear. Excuse me, you're the scanner. Day in, day out, when you went into a politician there. Constituents, no police station for, no party for about. Day in, day out, we are spending money. You know, you're spending money, say, you're contested the former parliamentary candidate. No man share, no, not so one person who bully me there. And there was a mini film. Now, I can give back. And into them, so let anymore. Film.
Honorable, in your own estimation, no, what you will be now so. And about say, you better say.
In town will be an answer. But I'll be finished time we win it, now. So I know for 3 times and we win it. The me economy win my good in the market. So he worked against me 2020. Mankasa.
I want to know.
Divine to go home, your regional chairman of Greater Accra. With the whole report from my party in page 4. Can't change me. And I yarn or ye. You know, me when it's okay. I'm a researcher, I'm a brand minister. Because 2024, I'm here, Madam Navota, I'm in 2020, even half. Let me add this, you know. And they share me crying, and I'm so okay then. My main uncle. Into my first out of soul. Now, Yanko Ponquanim, and I'm losing election because you're yesterday, I mean, to say, me winning and your year 2020, no better. It's with a Yamina Medanasi. So, we me a future problem.
No, be better just to say, I don't know, Uncle, say, oh, resign from any subsequent election be in the party. Now, outrightly, what you will free party.
Anything I do in the name of NPP, NPP. What I say? I mean, who free NPP anymore. I think say there are some jibaba. Mean to nothing. And say sika, and I'm one for full party. No penny for him to me say sika. No more come sika. They best say election. Not constituency executives, so now you need to be a to minimum yejuma. You don't mean yejuma, but the party no more day.
Well, no, Biakaka a mere allegation that we sweep it to the corridors of executives and say, Wamudisicaba, evidence be touched.
Evidence, Jiba. Chama, evidence, they say. The audio in the money.
Okay, FM.
Wow.
101 points.
Now, let's say, what was the resign from the NPP party, no? What copy executives, no?
A copy national office, no? A copy regional office, a copy constituency. I'm here to receive their response. I'm a bunch of empire say, I'm a response of the mameno. A bear you yate, oh, crowd, therefore. Empire, one.
Hey, are they?
Yes, that is my wish.
Now, so what can you like said the what's the time I know Piatia say? The idea you were a year in the idea when Injun war report to one more you know. Do you still have a hope, say? We are with the Alcoy responding.
I'm not responding. I tell me them because Tuesday, may release me press conference. My press conference Tuesday. And then we, to me, me hope when they say, on the catch them say you unity, I thought, oh, pound in Yamenko. I'm some of my Tom, you know, Monsom, one Tom.
Now, say, Uncle Banasa, say, Bia, this time around, no, women see when you're brain, they will want to address issues in the concerns our raising swear.
On my addressing is saying,
sir, concerns and issues are raising from Bia 2018, to an anonymous daddy na omo share say nothing of that sort will ever happen na kwakuma to him na they will put measures in place too and where
some measures no omo ntwen year 2024 elections na e be come happen because me contest 2024 as an independent candidate 2024 they should wait. If we enter election now, we just have a year to go.
And that's a party now where they are crowd because according to constitution or NPP constitution, we are sure say we move Say you be say who from independent candidate I want to me maybe you.
Me team who ko independent candidate I mean baby you. Na say me so me nka say me person me baby. Me nya ready say me kwan come in letter. I know what they are trying to say. It's not my resign. What am I party na me ko? No, me film. It's me film no so say no. I'm on my own. Independently no so say I'm in party bi mu. After yesterday I made a letter come on. Me who say me nim. Me party bi. I can just join GUM, NPP, NDC, TFC. It's got to be a baby PR. Let me decide to make it. It's my own will. Ya me plan na me me. Imagine and I'm a body and my life I I'm saying me unity me quite as independent candidate. Yeah, be time go ma Canada. Yeah, they quite na me ko wu ye me dia me fi ko wu ye so a ka me ya so na ma be tere NPP am here.
Honorable personally, regional chairman, Obon Kwedu, what to mean na share one-on-one. Ama man to woman, we be sano as to Niama certain development ya wo Kenya we ninja hono. One not na one-on-one in your dialogue no.
Regional chairman, me ni fi ebusia ba ko we are cousins.
Hey, bu you ebusia for kra?
We are cousins.
Wow.
Na yako contest mi hwehwe na me ho no. Me bomode akohu no woni fie na ka kire no so. Time na so ma try say me hu ni niama no so secretary na ka kire ni say ma be book 10% me hu no ni niama. But that's why she because of elections no presidential ones and that's why and I'm still okay. For the sake of regional chairman or you know better me ka kire to time na ye bomb pie say nyame ko ka kire na me bomb amani o me bomb pie say na me madonna me win na me bomb odian win seat na I'm going to dedicate that seat to him officially because ono contested 3 times and so na me beto aso no this you what and I'm sorry na boy into no many in case ni die emu do kakra but ni am better make can say you see I na so madwono because I started fighting me from 2018. It's the worst international how many years?
Wow, cousin.
We are cousins. Obe family mommy auntie, me no we are cousins. One and my friend no we are family members. We are cousins. Every boy, say good boy. Let me fi ponya no fi mind. Me ni nyina me say you fi the same town. I'm because me nyane busen bi. I'm because me nyane busen na do family meetings so an empe into magoni entem.
Can it be say? Ebi anda de ye wi na de bi mo so almost see the aye wo because of the affiliation to ana with the Afafrantono.
Nah, me I don't want to see it like that. And even if it is like that, what is your problem? Inina ala no kan o ye NPP ana me boa. Any inina yen mu bi ya ko support ala. Alan decided to step down wako as independent candidate, you know. Some of us decided to contest on the party ticket. So what are they talking about? I'm going to say, excuse my language, you. Sikebi na me want a bro, so na no to come file this kind of party nana. The me feel say, Alan, and I'm better me support it. I supported Alan 100%. I must say, as independent candidate. I went ahead to buy the form and filed. I'm going to campaign. Into the time you say, "Hunara the Alan in tea, and I almost put on Bayan in court for this. That's all my last. Because politics is a numbers game. You see, as an NPP party, no, mum now would think of family say Alan for no, move back for more, no matter. Because before party, it is also Alan in a moment suspension. Namuye Yambe, ena wa office ka begu constituency amu cheche 2000 1005 ni ama say omo tuma me na me wi na omo tumi ni me nyaduma so be Alan was once an NPP man. He was once a member of the party. Founding members no kan Alan contribution or ma NPP no. Yen we ndu ho kra ye. Ye chemu 0.1 sa ye ndu ho ye. Ndota hu ye fi. Onu Alan no e founding member kra na ne wa che ne ho. Na me unit lati. The Alan ne duma kra no o me hu a na me unit last video no we hu. I have to advise myself.
Honorable reason
because the omudi yamida say one party. We just in 2018. That time I was not even part of Alan's team. If the women talk has nothing to do with Alan. No. Many regional time I say so no. Enya Alan asem. Because unit was part of Alan's team, you know, in China ban and China Moyenita. But I'm telling you this on authority say, only ye issue in your Alan. After they send any 3 days after. It's an even say Alan as some crana. It is how to behave. So only in politics a numbers game. Me unit say, me a 1 person unit laughing. Me a me. Me a military party no. I think that the Dangle caucus would advise themselves. Because now we some go for the unit. Thinking say, oh, Dangle caucus no. The first is to make me a fire yesterday. Now we have to see her. Hope Ben all the Dangle constituencies now. I will greater Accra. Hope Ben. All the politics now, you know, a numbers game, as I'm saying. Now that you be no, you cannot deal with no or share. Say, the unit plan on my and the way starting for the mayor day. People lose interest in the party. Instead of all this while, no, as a leader, no, me first time make a some of you say, and I'm followers they who said this is how they were treating me. You see, I'm many days. Oh, don't worry. A year, one, everything I'm there. It is telling no more appreciated the politics is money. Get in, get out, our woman, go put him on problems, no more the baby. I'm about way, minimal letter, the acorn, and about will never be seen. A man is cat, I'm an a pump point from Panko Yeduma. Yes, they will come. That's your number. And now I'm maybe let a lay quiet crown. No, because me cool is every year. I have to give the money. To pay. Because my contest to an NPP party now. So the matter of Alan is different from me, my issue.
Now,
what would you Alan ask no better argument? Then you a mistake because it's not even close to it. And the until say on my response say, oh, you miss because you supported Alan. How you say, Nina. You have some original karma. Some say, your man is just on say election.
I just said, Yadianka, memory than a course on the Dianka, obey you, hands down cry.
Oh, Nipa no winning here, no crab a down as it. Our divine Nankasani radio station say, or than as it. At Saturday, no, who say, no, so belusu. But with the help of regional chairman in the secret and a hundred would be say, Muntino. Damia do with 2 year winning. Excellent, very beyond here.
NPP.
Openly.
Dear cause we NPP no emujo dear.
Oh, emujo. To me, emujo. Emujo. Emujo say, once there, son of Balmino Bianco Ham, away from Emujo, no, if you from a Jonah and a better. Oshana, you see why, no Bianca Dimawa, not for baby.
And I was said the Muye, they're breaking the 8 in a bad deal.
And dear, me make film with them to win it.
Yeah, but that's no pay.
Ebusiafo anyabu yinis lasi na numu nsem no na wote na sabre ya Hobson adoye ene afen so bwabre asamoa wo nyina ye suspendi wo mu wie ya kan hwe wo mo se ameyekom fese no furu dada enu ntimo de montena se na hwe so so kokoko amanyekonu wonom enkoso eni wo mujuma ebusiafo asumdie ye koso asrese mpanifo wo mo osun kokoko amanyekomu wo mo hwe se wo mo de de yie eda ebeto yie se de be ya bibia ebekoso jojo e wo sun kokoko amanyekomu ena nsema hodo a ene de yeboabo no efa resignation ahodo a ekoso wo sun kokoko amanyekomu beno be ma ekwan ni ade ni nyina esi diva mbaso maka
Entuma dia kami mapusa enko nanu sem na jade baye dia no metwie edi akra mi san kra hyehyeme sem na bia na moto edi ani medi ma ho de nyina kra gusu mapusa ntuma nya kra beti samina ntwa huro
enema wusi na okasa bebere sei
eja nanu samina ne de enye mapusa bibi kakra bi aka mapusa enko mapusa se ntwa rompo
we de ma okasa nya tintimi bampo me dru station ma wosen
wa mama no kura so asa no foforo sen ba
we de ti de me kan me dru station ma fa gusamara bi so me se fe A1 so de meje de si we de we ankrofo guso station ne de we de be pu ahuro pa
o de o crowd bi ba we o de be o san de be ha ma
o de try ne yan hwe
wait
A few moments later.
Hey, I know the judge by dear. Ayo, Ajawai.
Me wa na me hwe program bi kwa oti.
Any Jana de mabo ba so na say friend saying.
Be say me do just for guso an say nyasam ke.
Eh, any about time right. We dey puka.
Oni asama na. Ase me hu yanka me to bebirom.
E da de nya pra to dodo na de ye we na to bi enu pe. Ene ka ho no ma nkwa nya otumri ka ho na ya wadwo mo namba ama me. Na me ti akodwa.
Ka onsu betimi afre A1 ewa ahomabofo iso 054 507 4743 054 507 4743 na wonsu so jiwo bar soap alata semina after wash Parazone na se wo hwehwe A1 na kira kwan a obo ase chechere ehonnom A1 asoye na ewo se wutu ana se wo pese wo to ne mako A1 Company Limited abatan yati asemde
A1 seminar
Waha Divine Media Ghana yɛdase bebree san so ma akɔ aba ɛyɛ flag bearer ɛde ma ɛyɛ ɔsɛnko kwama nyiko a mprempren wɔno ɛna ɔsan so ɛyɛ vice president ɛde ma ɔman Ghana ɛyɛ Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia abusuafo ne BBC journalist bi akyekyere nkɔmɔ na nkɔmɔ ne deɛ nyani wasum ensem ahodo a kyerɛ sɛ vice president his excellency wo hyi edigu hɔ na ensem ahodo enum ɛna journalist yi kyerɛ sɛ okukyiri ne nyinaa edigu hɔ no ma wɔka sɛ wɔne ɛyɛ vice president ɔmo ɛba aba bedi hɔ no deɛ di kan wɔ sɛ how to improve internationally generated revenue in Africa deɛ tɔso mmienu wɔ sɛ digitalization mmiɛnsa trade and fourth one was say AI, artificial intelligence. Last one was say human capital development in Africa. And in semi and a journalist or BBC were featuring in a say one a vice president eba bechiche and komo. Now I was here for ye baba kotie and komochiche said ye see a course. So now bra a journalist teachers will be sa and sending in our area in a fedi na war born in sem wa Eddie Emma Yera Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia say why dear ankasa now next summer I quote so saying I am 100% convinced that if he is given the chance to lead the country he assemble his own team and train to execute his ideas Ghana will be different teacher say ye jai bibia e de hye onu ankasa ne team a journalist, BBC journalist, or 100% convinced saying, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Obetini as Sangani Ankas.
It's not everywhere that we have the personnel in terms of the teachers and all of that. And in fact, even in teaching, you need to be, the information out there is so much, the research out there is so much that with tools you can get succinct, summaries of where the research stands in various areas. And you can use it as a teacher to teach your students. Similar with the doctors. They cannot cope with all the most recent information. They can get it using artificial intelligence to get the best. So I think that, and the same with agriculture, you can help. So I think that if we focus it in some of these key areas, Africa can really benefit. And one of the things that I have always said in the area of technology, digital technology, AI, and all of that, is that Africa comes to the table with no legacy systems. we don't have a bed. And so we can make those changes and leapfrog in many areas that the developed countries will find it difficult. So we should not use the developed countries as a measure of what we do. We have to chart our own course. We have to chart our own course because they have a different set of facts on the ground to begin with from us. So different horses for different courses, as Dr. would say. So we've got to not be intimidated.
The late Canisius Juma, actually, of blessed memory here teaching at the Kennedy School, has made that point that even the developed countries now has things to learn from Africa. Now, this brings me to the elephant in the room. Energy.
Yes.
More than half of the African population do not have access to energy. So how do you harness the potential of artificial intelligence and other technologies when electricity is not available? What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you very much. It's a very, very important question. I mean, there are about 900 million people in the world without access to electricity. And about 600 million of them, about 72% of that or so, is in sub-Saharan Africa.
Not just Africa, but
sub-Saharan Africa. And I mean, if you look at energy consumption around the world, in sub-Saharan Africa, it's about 180 kilowatt per capita. It's 180 per kilowatt hour. In the US, it's 13,000 consumption per kilowatt hour. In Europe, it's about 6,500. Consumption. So we are at 180, right? And so you see the direct relationship between our energy consumption and economic development. Ours is so low because without energy, you cannot do so many things, in transport, health, in education, agriculture. There's so much that requires energy. If it, digitalization, artificial intelligence, all those things that we want to do require energy. So it's a big issue for Africa, and how we are able to deal with this elephant in the room. My own experience with our situation in Ghana, and when you look at what is happening across the continent in South Africa, in Nigeria, and so on. First of all, we have to make sure that the utilities are financially viable. The lack of viability of our utilities is a major problem, because if the utilities are not viable, they are not able to make the investments that are required. And you know that with the energy sector, the lead time for investment is about 4 years before you actually need the energy. And so if you don't put in the investment early on, but if your utilities are making losses, they are not cost recovering, you have a major problem to start with in that sector. In the utility sector, I think the World Bank estimates that we need about 20 billion annually for the next 10 years or so for us to close the gap, on electricity. And so if you don't have that incentive for the private sector, because a lot of this investment must come in from the private sector.
How do you energize the private sector?
Exactly. But if they see a loss-making enterprise, they're not likely to invest. So that is one thing that we have to be careful and very deliberate on, to make sure that there is viability of our utilities. The other thing that we have to do, because we are working individually in countries, it is very important, because some places we have different comparative advantages. There are some parts of the continent where there's more hydro, some parts where there's more gas. But so it requires a deliberate strategy to integrate our utilities. And not only to integrate the utilities, but to integrate the power and diversify the power generation mix towards more green energy. You need to diversify towards more solar, towards more hydro on the continent. We are blessed with a lot of sun. And many places in the Sahel, for example, that you can really leverage solar energy, for example. So I think that the integration of our utilities is going to be very, very important, as well as making sure that there's financial viability, and encouraging the private sector to come in to invest in the sector. I think
that's quite interesting. And this brings me to my last question. There is a lot of interest from countries, China, United States, Europe, Africa Conference, Africa this, Africa that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that we have to work collectively together.
Right.
But how is Africa sit at the table during these negotiations? What are your thoughts on African countries, especially the regional blocs, negotiating in trying to bring this private, sector into Africa to go as a bloc, so that they can have a better deal than going alone, so that Africa's voice is much bigger and stronger?
Yeah, I think that it goes without saying that we deserve, as a continent, a seat at the table. We are a major contributor to the development of this world, in terms of our resources, in terms of our population, and so on. We definitely do deserve a seat at the table. And of course, we are a major bloc. The African Continental Free Trade Area has been set up with over 1 billion in population and 3 trillion that we have put together. And so it gives us some marketing power, some negotiating power at the table, if we recognize it. Right? You may have the power, but you may still work in very much silos, but once we can recognize and negotiate on the basis of our market power, I think that the rest of the world will listen. So it is in recognizing that we have this to do if we are going into energy, because we have to get our own act together before the world will listen to us. Yeah, I mean, if we go in a lot of the current circumstances, we will not be listened to, but we must be taken seriously, right? And to be taken seriously, we have to do the things that make sense for us to do, and then come together as a bloc to negotiate for very, very important concessions for the continent.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think I have to negotiate an exit from the interview because it's my time. Yes. It's really a pleasure to have you, Your Excellency, to have this conversation.
So much, Dr.
And we look forward to receiving you at the Africa Policy Journal in the future.
I look forward to that.
Yes.
This has been a very good experience.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and
for Dr. Muhammad Jubal, BBC journalist, and let's give him a chance. We are ready to see. Comment section, once we bet me actually, I mean, said, but your journalist can, and now Mr. So may can be an incision one of Cassin, Jamadiva Ambassador, or NPP, Mr. Mijana Fifi, Macram.